Yeah, folks, we're already back with another Cataclysm card review. Today I've got 3 legendaries to talk about, including this pretty crazy new Colossal for Hunter. This is Magmaw. He is a 7 mana 2/12 mech and beast with, that's right, Colossal plus 99. Now, there aren't 99 spots on the board, so that does mean he's just going to fill out the board, summoning 6 when you summon him first. But that plus 99 is important because of this next line of text. Summon any leftover appendages when there is room. So, like, you'll use the first 6 when you play him initially. You've got 93 left. If your opponent clears 93 of the Magmaw's bodies, he will keep filling in the open spots until he runs out. So functionally infinite. Like, there's no scenario in real life where people are going to clear that many Magmaw's bodies. So, you know, basically just as long as Magmaw's alive, there are going to be more Magmaw's bodies spawning in to fill any that are cleared out, which creates a troubling predicament for the opponent where they kind of have to deal with the Magmaw first, and at 12 health, that could be a little bit of a problem. Certain scenarios might be really tough to deal with that. Now, the Magmaw's bodies, as you see, are 1 mana 2/1 mech beasts with Death Rattle. Give a random friendly minion +2 attack. So basically, if you're left with a board of Magmaw's bodies, you know, that's a lot of potential damage output. You can just run all these face, you could trade some in, and basically push their damage onto another guy, ensuring either like better trades or just, you know, a little bit of trading that also still allows you to push a lot of damage into face. And, you know, it's basically 12 plus damage scenarios there with the Magmaw's bodies, really kind of 24 total damage output, because each one's 2 and 2 for the 6 bodies. If 6 remain, that won't always be the case. So it's just one of those, like, okay, few synergies to consider here, right? Number one is just like pressure. This thing is just a pile of pressure on board, stuff, problems, bodies. That alone, probably okay for 7 mana. At the top end of a deck, that 7 mana slot is just fast enough for this to be a kind of finisher on board. That's really nice as just like threat dump. Number 2 is like token synergies, right? We've already seen some like beastie token synergy stuff pop up in Hunter a lot, having little beasts on board that are dying or get buffs, whatever it is, right? A lot of ways to play into that as well. So these multiple bodies can actually feed into some game plans on top of that. So then it's just a question of like, can the opponent effectively deal with all of this? And I think it's pretty awkward to deal with. Like obviously any kind of universal board clear will deal with it. Anything that just clears all minions on board, that sort of thing. You know, Twisting Nether style cards, obviously that'll clear with it. But if you start piecing it out, it can be tough. Like little AoEs don't do any good. Clearing out a row of Magmaw's bodies just leaves you in a worse spot than you were in if you don't clear the Magmaw first. So the fact that they kind of have to push through the Magmaw first at that 12 health, that could be clunky. That could be weird because, you know, like little trades on board may not always deal effectively with 12. Single target removal could do a good job of it, but if you spend too much, then you've still got a pile of bodies left behind to deal with. And it's like, okay, man, how do I deal with all these remaining parts? That's going to be a challenge for me. So in essence, what I'm saying is like, it's just awkward. It's high friction. And I think there will be some game states, some matchups, some decks just can't effectively deal with this. And it feels like this was the blow that was just one too far and kind of ends the game because they just couldn't solve this Magmaw problem very effectively. So in other words, I think this is just cheap enough. Like at 8 mana or more, you'd start asking more questions. You know, 7 mana, I think, is enough of a sweet spot here that it gets there fast enough. And it does, you know, enough pressure, and it's kind of staggered, and it shapes enough that all of that's lining up here to look like a pretty good tool to me. I think this is a rather powerful effect and card that will definitely win you some games because it's just the backbreaker basically for the opponent. All right, up next here we have Ultraxion. This is a new neutral card, but it's one of the multi-class neutrals that are part of the kind of Deathwing group this expansion, which are Rogue, Shaman, Warlock, Warrior, and Demon Hunter. And it is a 6 mana 6/7 dragon with battle cry. Herald your Colossal, reduce Deathwing's cost by 1, but then you can also herald to improve that cost discount as well. Now, quick reminder for yesterday, when you herald a Colossal, that's going to upgrade its appendages or its soldiers. So, you know, after 2, you will double all of the numbers on the card. So the Hand of Ragnaros would then become a 4/2 that deals 4. So after 4 instances, they're all going to become 8 4s that deal 8, etc. for other colossals. Also keep in mind, when you herald, you are going to be summoning one of these Hands of Ragnaros. They will just be called a Soldier of Ragnaros as a sort of fill-in token, because it'd be weird to have Rag's hand kind of just floating out there in space. So ultimately, that means that usually this is going to be like, you know, a 6-mana 6/7 that if you're playing Warrior and you have Ragnaros as your Colossal, is going to summon you a, you know, let's say at that stage, it might be a 4/2 that deals 4. So it's not just a 6/7, you're getting a little bit of a token body alongside it with that Soldier from the Herald. You're also going to be reducing your Deathwing's cost by 1 as well. So a couple bodies, an upgrade to your Colossal, and you're going to be discounting your Deathwing Worldbreaker. It annoys me a little they didn't write Worldbreaker in the text of the card, but I guess we all kind of know what it means. I wonder if it does actually work on other Deathwings, though. Wild players maybe could experiment there a little bit and see if it works on other Deathwings. I kind of doubt it. I think we know what it means. It probably only works here. But hey, that helps, right? Suddenly have a much more interesting curve, because this is also not going to just be reduced Deathwing's cost by 1. This can also double. So this can go to reduce it by 2 and reduce it by 4 even if you're fully heralded, because that number is going to double, you know, multiple times, much like the other upgrades from Herald. So basically, you know, this is a 6-mana 6/7 that summons you maybe a 4/2, maybe even an 8/4 alongside it that also discounts your Deathwing by 4, which is that's crazy. When this is all fully upgraded, that's a big time play, because I already think Deathwing's pretty okay at 10 mana. At 6 mana, forget it. Deathwing's nuts with all these effects, because you can do other things alongside it, which is crazy. So, you know, in essence, you're just still, again, building towards this kind of 2-card punch of your Colossal into Deathwing and hoping that's enough to flip games in your favor. I think early on in post-rotation in particular, when there just aren't a lot of cards and aren't a lot of synergies in decks, I think these kind of independently good things of Colossals and Deathwing are just going to feel so powerful in those early metas. And I think some of them will probably even persist beyond that, where they still feel powerful in future metas as well, just because, you know, they're doing so much. So I do think that Ultraxion will make sense in at least a couple of these decks that are running the Deathwing anyway, that have the time to do this, where maybe the tokens you're summoning off your Heralds are like competitive enough on board that it doesn't feel like this is just a Boulder Fist Ogre turn, but it feels like you're doing something that's halfway decent the turn you play this, and then setting up for absolutely home runs later with fully upgraded Colossals and super discounted Deathwing. So ultimately, yeah, I think this is just going to take a critical mass of Heralds for these decks to make sense. The payoffs will be worth it. So basically all of these cards are going to feel important to this package. Ultraxion, I don't think, is any different. So our final card here is actually one that did get revealed yesterday, but there were some questions about what size it was going to be. Like, came out as a 5-mana 5/5, then it was like a 4-mana 4/4. It seems like the 4-mana 4/4 version is the final version. So we're going to lock in our review for Victor Nefarious here, a new legendary for Death Knight. He is 4 mana, Unholy Rune, 4/4, Undead, which is cool. With Battle Cry, craft a custom Undead Dragon. If you're holding a dragon, reduce the creation's cost by 3, which yeah, I think that's a pretty good text line. I don't know exactly how this one's going to work. For instance, I don't know if you get like 1 undead and 1 dragon and then fuse them together. That's actually exactly what my expectation is. But I think you get some pretty cool effects there, basically. Much like Zombies were so good before, this is a nice pool of stuff. Synergizes often with Death Knight on the undead side of things in particular. So you're probably going to get some kind of death rattle-y, token-y, nice little bonus on the undead. And then maybe some kind of big, awesome, you know, body to play with for the dragon side of things. And I'm assuming this follows the same sort of like keywording rules as well as Zombies do, just because otherwise like card text becomes such a problem. So mixing like one complicated effect with one like keyword style effect or whatever. Now, does it always keep the same order of like undead and dragon first, or can you get a dragon first or an undead first? Or can you even just get a mix of any of them? You get like 3 choices. They're all either undead or dragon. They're not like bucketed out by the half of the card. I don't know yet. Maybe it's been confirmed somewhere else, but I haven't seen it yet myself. So I almost don't care. I think ultimately it's just a pile of enough stuff that it's going to be pretty good because the discount makes it competitive, right? This is that like Xavier style card, almost an Elise style card where you just play your thing on 4 for potentially really big pop off card on turn 5. You know, you combine something that's like 8 mana, it's perfect on curve. Easy to get something cheaper, you know, you slot it in with another card. I think the payoffs here could be pretty big, combining some really cool effects. It's unpredictable for the opponent. All of that seems really nice for Victor Nefarious, just being, you know, a good building block card you just toss into your deck. Maybe not the best card of your deck, not a win condition, not a total, you know, build around style card, but just good filler. Again, particularly post rotation, these cards tend to shine a lot. So I do think Victor Nefarious will definitely see some play. And yeah, that's it for today. We didn't have a lot of cards, and I think tomorrow is literally going to be maybe even only one card, but that's how they're doing it this time around. So let's go ahead and jump into the star ratings for these cards. Magma is a 4-star card. Ultraxian is a 4-star card. Victor Nefarious is a 4-star card. There you go. 3, I think, pretty playable cards this time around. I have to say, I do feel like the power level in general, this set, from what we've seen so far, seems higher. We've been worried about power level a lot. Well, I'm not worried, but we've been detecting a trend of power level lowering a lot. Seems like this set's bucking that trend so far, man. I'm seeing some powerful effects and cards, which a little worrying that they've been setting up this low power trend, and then if one comes along and breaks it, it kind of makes everything else disappear. But I guess we'll see how it all shakes out. We don't know what the full set's going to look like. We certainly don't know really how these are all going to play, but I'm curious if you guys are feeling the same so far. Like, does this actually feel more powerful to you, or is that just me? Anyway, share those thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks much, as always, for watching, and until next time, game on.